Star Wars. What does it mean to be a Star Wars fan? Like, if you say you're a Star Wars fan, does that sum you up? I think 20 years ago, that used to be an easy definition. I think 20 years ago, if you defined just to say what it meant to be a geek, that wasn't a hard thing to describe, because you were like a Star Trek geek or a comic book geek or a gaming geek. Today, I don't think that's the case. I think today we're in this mix of something that's kind of like a revolution, or a renaissance, where the subculture we grew up with is becoming the culture. And really today, you're not just a geek, you're more of an omni-geek. Everybody, because you got so much stuff out there, you've got more stuff to love, you've got more options. And when it comes to Star Wars, today, people got a lot more options than we had 20 years ago. And that's what we're going to talk about. I want to talk about something that a gentleman here came up with, defining that division called the Apocrypha. Let's go around and have everybody introduce themselves and then talk about it. Start off here.
Are we just introducing ourselves first?
Yeah, introduce
my name is Eric. I am that I believe that Apocrypha, and I believe that everything's canon.
Everything's canon. All right.
I'm Glenn, and I guess I'm the one who came up with the concept of the Apocrypha. And I don't believe that everything out there that calls itself Star Wars is canon.
I'm Vincent. I have not seen all of the Star Wars movies. So
I don't know how he got here.
Who the fuck are you? Get out of my house!
But I don't believe that just being on a movie qualifies you as a Star Wars geek necessarily, because there's so much canon out there. I mean, it's like overload.
All right, you can
Where
stay
do you
now.
start?
You can stay.
I'm Melody.
Enough said.
All right.
And I'm Aaron.
There's a girl here too. How this happened, we don't know.
Weirdest group ever.
This is actually our D&D group. This is the first place I ever heard of the Apocrypha, and we'll get into explaining exactly what that is in a second, was with these group of guys. So I think it makes perfect sense to introduce this concept to the world with the dudes who first argued about it. And I can just, Glenn, credit goes to you. You were the first man I heard utter this. You're the first guy who said this. I thought it was brilliant. What is the Apocrypha? Explain this.
Well, and thank you, Wikipedia and other sites findable by Google.
Linkable on this site. houseofhaha.com. Growing Up Geek In America.
The word Apocrypha originally comes from a Greek word that means hidden things. Throughout history, Apocrypha has referred to a wide variety of things. And excellent, spilling it right there on the table. But in common parlance, the word Apocrypha typically refers to books written by certain authors that could be called Gospels, but for whatever reason are not included in what are typically Christian Bibles. Some Protestants would call the Catholic Bible to include books that they don't include in their Bible to be apocryphal. The word itself has had a variety of meanings throughout history as well. In some cases, the Apocrypha was hidden things that gave you extra knowledge originally. But then later those things came to be seen as heretical by various church groups. And then during the Protestant Reformation, it took on an entirely different meaning. But even today, though, the word Apocrypha, it seems as if it started with a positive meaning and it became a negative meaning. Today it has, it's sort of turning to be a more positive meaning, because even many Protestants are looking to books like, say, the Gospel of Judas or the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which is certainly in no Bible that I ever read. Not that I ever read a Bible. But as looking to these works to learn more, like many people.
We're going to talk about some religious shit, but I have not read the Bible. So,
I'm thinking of a statue somewhere in Washington.
Modern Protestants are looking to these sorts of books as a way to learn more about their Christian religion. And so these are books that they sort of lack a legitimacy in the modern Christian church, but they're still seen as sort of significant in a way. And to me, bringing it now back to Star Wars, this is how I see anything that is not the original version of Star Wars. I hesitate even to call it A New Hope. Episode 5 and Episode 6. Anything that is not included in those original 3 movies, I consider to be the Apocrypha. That does not mean that they're without value, but it does mean that I find them to be dubious in some way. To provide just slight further argument before Eric jumps in, originally, as I understand it, and was common knowledge in the 1970s, George Lucas wrote Star Wars, when his original vision was a 9-movie orchestra, to lack a better word. He was given the ability to make 1 movie. He tried to put everything he could fit that was important into that 1 movie. It was such a success, and my God, a source of most of the happiness in the world, as far as I can tell, that he was given the opportunity to make 2 more movies, and now, some 36 years later, it is what it is today, owned by the mouse. So, therefore, when he's gone back and redone and rewritten things, obviously it is altered from what his original vision is. Therefore, I do not believe in midichlorians, and I do not believe that Han Solo shot first.
All right. Well, that was a lot. And again, we want to thank Wikipedia and the good fact checkers out there who gave us all that information. Let me see if I can summarize a little bit, because I mean that was and I appreciate it, because that was a lot of information, and that was really good, because it actually is. It is really not it's not an easy thing to define, because there is a lot of varied opinions and stuff on it, as this topic we'll get into. But essentially, you have what people consider the original version of quote unquote the Bible, or their canon. We'll call it their canon, their religious canon. Exactly. And then all of a sudden, this secret hidden stuff shows up, and they learn new things, and they're like, wait a minute, no, there's more to this story. There's more to what's going on, and they're like, and they want to study these things, and they call these things the Apocrypha, right? So basically, it's the stuff that was discovered after, or created, or telling after what was considered the true original story.
Well, couldn't it also be that it's people who said that God told them to write these things, and people are like, we don't believe you?
That has a lot to do with it. I mean, there's a group called the Gnostics, which had a lot of various writings, and the predominant church, particularly once it became associated with the Roman Empire, and then throughout the Middle Ages, these groups in particular were denied. And so there are a lot of works that, were known to have existed in various things, but a lot of these works were lost to history during the Middle Ages, and only discovered recently with the discovery of things like the Dead Sea Scrolls and other things that are far more recent than that even.
There you go. So
there's a wide variety of biblical apocrypha.
So in context, what we're basically saying this, because how I was introduced to this, hanging out your house one day, something Jar Jar-ish, pod racy, fucking Sithy, something Metachlorian came up. Well, that was even before.
Well, the Academy is a whole different.
That's a whole different argument.
At the beginning.
We're basically talking about the prequels, the newer, older versions, whatever, of Star Wars, the Jar Jar shit. And
as they call it.
We have a new name for that, because that's when I first heard Glenn. He was like, "Oh, the Apocrypha," and I'm like, "Yeah, what?" And he was like, "And I'm like, "No, I don't. I mean, I should know. I mean, I don't know. I grew up Lutheran, which is like Catholic light, So like we had the bread, the wine. It's like all the traditions, less guilt." So we didn't really get into that stuff, because they didn't tell us about the other stories. We had our one story, and that was it. So they
don't want you to know that stuff, I think.
Well, see, that's part of where the Apocrypha comes in, because it was hidden.
It's hidden.
And
that way Eric would believe in it, because he's saying, no, it is true.
Yeah,
it really
I mean,
you just don't believe in it because you guys are losers.
Yeah, that's part of the argument that I was trying to make when I talked about the history of the meaning, and how, it seems to have gone from a positive thing to a negative thing, but now, a lot of modern-day Christians are looking into these things, and not necessarily taking them as the Bible, but using them to learn about what their religion is.
So
there's definitely something to these episodes, no matter how much Jar Jar sucks.
And I know. Actually, go ahead. You've been biting the bit, Eric. Go ahead. Jump in here, man.
Eric again.
Welcome back.
Smells fantastic.
I do. Back here, but there's bells.
The bells are ringing exactly.
No, but here's the thing. Like, I am a Star Wars fan. The first movie I saw, Star Wars.
Actually, I want to do something real quick before we hold on. No.
Let him go.
Tell him how old you are, because there's a big difference in age. How old are you?
Okay, I think it's a fair question. I am 23.
23. I'm 37. Glenn's 30.
I'm 35. Yeah.
35.
I turned 36 late.
I'm 22. Eric looks 30.
Melody, we're not. That's up to you to
But
disclose.
I'm 36.
36. So I should point this out in this group right here. There is a distinction of our introduction to Star Wars.
I don't
So
be fine by my age, though. I can.
no, you don't have to be fine by it. That's one that I think one of the big
I
differences.
think it helps to people understand. Like, the first movie I saw of Star Wars, I say it was Episode 1. And
Amazing you ever watched another Star Wars.
So you
But
saw
in
Phantom Menace.
Spanish.
That was
In
your.
Spanish.
in another language, then Spanish, and it was amazing to me as a 10-year-old. I thought it was the best thing ever. I love the droids, Jar Jar Binks I don't really care about, but I love the droids, I love the Queen, I love everything about it, I love the racing, right? And I started watching the rest of the movies. In fact, I remember talking to my parents the other day about how I got into Star Wars. They told me after we saw Episode 1, we went to see the other 3 movies because they're having a special.
Did you watch them in Spanish or in English?
In Spanish,
In Spanish.
They called out Guerra de las Galaxias, as they call it in Spanish.
Say it again.
Guerra de las Galaxias.
I still don't know what the fuck you said.
Sorry. And in Spanish.
En español.
And in Spanish.
This is Arizona. Spanish does not frighten me.
It will. It will.
It's been a couple years. But, and so it's completely different. When you guys talk about basically the Holy Trinity that you have.
And that's how we do it. That's really.
And
we can
you
show
and
the
your
trilogy
Holy
holy
Trinity.
to us. Yeah.
And I mean, I love it. My favorite movie, which is Return of the Jedi. I'm not sure we have to say that it was. That's one of my favorites. That's my favorite Star Wars movie.
All right.
And Empire Strikes Back, fantastic movie. Not as good as Return of the Jedi, in my opinion. But everything about it, the books, the comics, everything that goes with Star Wars, even the games now have added extra storylines, are all part of the canon that is Star Wars. You can't make them pick. I only like these 3 things. I'm going to ignore the rest of the world. You don't get to give that choice.
Well,
You're part of a universe. You have to accept the whole of it, the good and the bad.
So, and the difference in perspective here is that I think it's key is that you saw Star Wars. Your introduction to fucking Star Wars was Episode 1, Phantom Menace. So that was it. Now for us, we got introduced, in 1977, to.
I saw it in the womb.
Yeah, we saw, we saw its original contact. We saw Han fucking shooting first. We saw before special editions, before, all those things. And I think that's really, and that's what I think this is really coming out. And we've had this discussion for a long time. We just finally put it on tape, that recorded this, is that there's of 2 minds. You can't just say, I think these days, just to say, I'm a Star Wars fan, I'm a Star Wars geek, it doesn't work. Because I think you're in one of 2 houses. I think either you're a person, well, maybe okay for 3, you're a person who's just your original trilogy, like you said, it's gospel, and that's how a lot of us view it. Or you're someone you're like, no, I like the original. I think even people who like, not the original, like the prequels, accept the entire thing. Would that probably be agreed upon?
Yeah.
So really, it's just us fucking old people
Who refuse to change.
do not refuse to change, but we gotta understand for years what was Star Wars. That was it. You had the movies, you had a God fucking help me B. Arthur holiday special, not a Christmas special because it wasn't Christmas, it was Life Day. It was a holiday special, and then we had novels, and then we had the fucking Droids cartoon, and we had the Ewoks cartoon, which were not fantastic.
You do say fucking a lot. You were right.
I do. I was going to censor this, and I was like, we should probably not say that, and they're like, really? And I'm like, well...
Can I say son of a bitch?
Yeah.
Well, you already did.
Say fucking all the
bleep it.
time.
I just you bleep it in it.
We're very open-minded here.
That is too much beeping. Nobody's going to listen to that. Beep, beep, beep.
Plus, I don't have that much time to edit this, so... But that's really what this does. And when Glenn, conversation, when Glenn first say, this is the Apocrypha, that was the division of the houses. It was like, for me, I really started looking at it going, either you are someone who just loves a trilogy because that's what, and most likely that's what you grew up with and that's what you know, and it's that those movies just held so much reverence in so many parts of our childhood, our adolescence, our adulthood. I mean, they really mean a lot to us. And your perspective's completely different. And you know what? In some ways, you've made me come around to this a little more. Not completely. I still think they're fucking horrible movies, for the most part. But, I mean, is I guess, looking at the canon more. So, from that context, what's any other thoughts, Glenn?
Wait,
Melody, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to know if Vince, since he never...
Oh, that's true. Thank you. Vince had actually, we did not really tell him ahead of time what we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
And we asked if he knew what the Apocrypha was. He, in a general concept, he had it, but he didn't know we were going to talk about this. So now you've gotten this.
Well, you guys keep saying the Apocrypha as if it's like a unified body of film or literature or whatever.
The Apocrypha basically refers to, in the context we're using here, like as Glenn has described it, is the prequels. Because they came after the original quote-unquote trilogy, which admittedly starts at number 4.
To be clear, to me, the Apocrypha is anything that is not the original theatrical releases of the movies.
Okay.
The original 3 Star Wars movies that we think of as the trilogy.
Wow. So you're throwing Timothy Zahn in there, too.
Oh, Timothy Zahn gets tossed under the bus. There's no question about that.
Oh, wow, you're going to get some angry emails, sir. Probably from Timothy Zahn. I'm sure he's listening.
I hope he is.
There's nothing wrong.
And you know what? I can tell you, Timothy Zahn, that you were one of the first people who ever got me to read a lot of books, and my parents are very happy with you and gave you a lot of money. So, anything I might have to say, you should still say thank you.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like you can't have a value. There's all of the fan fiction and stuff
I mean,
like that.
I want to think
people
that,
enjoy
like,
it, but
I want to
make it...
continue to be clear that all of this stuff, like, on a certain sense I love, like, I will admit that the worst experience of my life was going to see episode 2, but, that's cool.
Can you admit episode 2?
Okay, I will admit
that is
episode 1
you know,
are the best films. I will agree with that. They aren't the best films, but they are part of Star Wars. But then you look at the cartoon like Attack of the Clones, like the Clone Wars. It's actually a fantastic cartoon, and it adds to the story.
Oh, you didn't even get the word 2 out of your mouth. She was like, ugh.
If you're not Papa Yoda, I just don't believe you're Yoda, and I'm sorry.
And Glenn, this actually goes further with you because you're a believer in the difference with the Apocrypha extend to a CG Yoda versus a puppet Yoda?
Completely. Like, look at these movies.
You're with them on that one.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
With floppy Yoda
Yeah.
all over.
Like,
Yoda? No. He is so much more chill than that. He's not
Yoda is just simply like Mr. Miyagi. We think of Karate Kid. When Mr. Miyagi comes and saves Daniel from the biker gang, he just sits there, lets those motherfuckers come at him, and takes them out. He's chill. He's not wasting a lot of energy.
Okay.
He's just politely getting shit done.
Harrison Ford in your situation.
He's not bouncing off walls.
Yeah.
And looking like, oh, look what I can do with my goddamn awesome computer fucking graphics. That's just not what Yoda would do.
Yoda we saw in Dagobah was in exile, was living in a swamp for how many years? Probably not in the best of
at least 20.
At least 20 years in a swamp with no one talked to but critters. Bloody insane. He was bloody insane. Now, with Yoda we saw in the first episode 1 to 3, now this was a man in this height of power. He rules the Jedi Order.
So you're saying he was drunk on
Well, no!
Like, I'm saying, years of isolation take Yoda down.
It would take anyone.
It made him powerful. I mean, he just had to wiggle his finger and stuff as his, moving.
He moved the next week. He moved the heaviest stuff in the first 3.
I buy what you're saying. I completely do. Yoda in the apocryphal first 3 episodes, you're right. He has to be more virile, etc. As such, though, he would still not bounce off wars in a fucking lightsaber fight against some motherfucker that he could kind of look at and douche fucking die.
You know
what?
what?
I'm just sorry.
It's just
that was just the most ridiculous scene of any movie I may have ever fucking seen.
There's advantages.
There's a difference. There's a difference between virile and jumping around and going. Other Jedis were later going. I think fucking Yoda's doing a speedball, dude. Did you see that fucker bouncing? Did you
saying.
see him fucking bouncing?
Okay.
That shit ain't right.
Okay, do it to Count Dooku. Well, the height difference will be important. And if he has speed to it, then he is more powerful than him still. Because it's hard to get hit.
If he can do that,
So
he can
basically-
hover, and
no.
then he'll be the same height. Big deal.
I would just like to ask you, Eric, so basically what you're saying is judge him by his size, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's weak, dude.
Yeah.
Like that, like, really?
Okay, man.
Next, why don't you tell me about metachlorians next?
What do you want me to do? It doesn't make sense.
We're not going to really talk about metachlorians. Please don't stop playing.
What?
Anyway, okay, Vince.
All right,
You've heard this ramble. You guys think? Tell me at this point. You've heard about the Apocrypha. I think. What have you gotten from the? Are we making fucking sense here? What is this? You're a viewer right now. Listening to this for the first time. No, I don't know what these guys are talking about.
Okay, so I'm a total new. Let me just clarify that. I saw episodes 1 and 2. Didn't see 3, and I saw the. Was it 4, 5, and 6?
You mean the original trilogy? You mean that?
You mean no movies?
You mean the non-Apocrypha movies?
No, okay. Wait. I saw 2/3 of the original trilogy. Episodes 4 and 5. Didn't see 6, so I'm missing, like, the integral.
So you saw New Hope.
So apparently
you saw
when we're done recording,
Empire.
we're not playing Dungeons and Dragons, we're gonna go watch Return of the Jedi.
It seems that way.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I need a scorecard for a second. Let's stop. Let me run it down real quick. New Hope. Seen it? Yes or no? That's episode 4, by the way, for those keeping up.
It's Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Just to be clear,
That's
the title of that movie is Star Wars.
that was the one that came out in '77.
That's what I mean.
Run through it really quickly.
Okay, dude's a farm boy.
Feeling a hate crime.
Yeah.
Comes and gets recruited by the crazy guy in the wilderness,
Yep, so
in the desert. Okay.
Okay, don't forget our job is a slug. It's not a person.
anyways,
We need to be watching
Okay, well,
Star
see,
Wars.
that's,
The
see,
question that
what
I've been
you're saying
hovering
right
around
there
my
is I
mind.
agree with you. Jabba the Hutt is a slug because,
The Hutt.
things got cut from the original movie.
Oh, so you're
Not because
It's a race.
Okay.
of, because they suck.
You can't nitpicking now what you like and what you don't like. You said the original 3 with no changes whatsoever. What's what you believed in. That
No,
was your
I said
ideology.
the original theatrical releases of the original 3 movies. I tried to be very clear about that. Han Solo shot first. If you look at any VHS version of any legally released VHS version of Star Wars or Episode 4: A New Hope, Han Solo shoots second. They cleaned it up to make it look better, to make it look like he wasn't evil, which, in a sense, he was. Look where he was.
There was only 2 places you could ever get those original versions.
That could
After
be
production,
useful.
there was one VHS version that was released, and then no, actually, I think actually the VHS version actually was edited.
My interpretation is that the original VHS version was edited.
The Laserdisc. The Laserdisc trilogy is the only one you can get that actually. I mean, you got to find a fucking Laserdisc player.
Seriously. Like, I've seen the Bookmans, but I have never seen a Laserdisc.
I have a Laserdisc player actually in my house.
I'll have to look at it. I've never seen one.
So,
It's impressive to look at.
They're giant CDs. Dinosaurs
But no.
chiseled them out with lasers.
the second time he released DVDs.
That's how they died.
Yes. No, the second released
Maybe
DVDs of the original trilogy contain as bonus materials the original theatrical releases. And so that's actually because I saw the original theatrical release of Star Wars from the womb 5 weeks after I was born. My grandparents came to visit, and everybody but me and Papa went to go see it again.
Poor Papa.
So your issues go back way far of this. Like really from almost from like not day 1, I guess day 4 when you saw the fucked up version or the change version, you're just like, whoa, this isn't right. It's kind of like you remember fucking going to see Karate Kid 2, and like in the movies there was one point when they're out there and that fucking like Mr. Miyagi and his old friends out there and they're fighting, they don't like each other now. And at some point, Miyagi gets pissed and he fucking breaks that log in half. Like, I swear to God, in the movies I saw that, but if you watch any version of it since, there are people who remember seeing that scene. And so, and there's like, that's a moment that sticks. And I think there is a lot of moments in Star Wars that are defining, going, oh, that's a fucking great moment, or oh, that's fantastic. That, it was really the first time I can remember where someone said, oh, you know what, let's change that. I know we released it to the world one way, but let's alter things. Like, I don't think we'd ever had a version. Like today that happens all the time because you have the internet. Everything can constantly be changed, reposted, updated, and stuff.
Like ads and things.
And
Yeah,
every
like,
time
we
a new
didn't have
DVD
that.
movie's released, there's like 5 alternate endings included as the bonus material.
Yeah, there was no M Night, there was no Easter eggs and stuff. And again, I think that I think you understand why Glenn is so hooked on this. Because this goes back to his fucking. He's like 6.
So, but he's seen the buzzing the most about you guys.
No, this is
Star Wars.
like issues from the womb, clearly, and I'm freely admitting this. Issues from the womb.
But anyway, let me make a point. But let me talk about your view on Star Wars about the whole Trinity, so I want to call it. It's like you have to exclude all the new viewers. You basically count all their views, all the things they read as nonsense. They're not really Star Wars fans. No, because what you're saying is you are the true believers of Star Wars, and everyone else is just.
And the authority.
Well-
You claim to be the authority because it really is a comic book conversation about judgment and exclusion and who's right and who
But
sets
see,
the rules for everybody.
I want to say though that they still have some basis in the reality. Like the reality to me is that there were 9 movies that he tried to condense into 1. And so anything that he writes about something that happened before, he has to take out whatever he pushed into the original movie. And until somebody releases his editorial notes and original manuscripts, we're never going to know exactly what it is. But, rewriting and re-releasing something 25 years later, as I understand, after he had originally written it, there's all sorts of changes that he had
for
to
the third
include.
time. That was actually the third time he made changes.
Wait, so
Or
it
second
would
time.
really mean that nobody knows what the canon is because it was never released.
That could be a fair enough point.
So
Or unless if you get Laserdisc versions.
it was cut to shit.
I think Gardy raises an excellent point. If you follow my argument to its logical conclusion, I think Melody makes a fair enough point. Is that what I would like to think of as the original canon, the original 9 movie, fucking movement. It was originally condensed into just 1, and then these other 2 movies were added on. So
You only believe in episode 4.
I believe in Star Wars, apparently.
That's true. Is if you think at the time, you wouldn't think about this, but when they made the first Star Wars movie, they didn't know if there was going to be a second Star Wars movie.
No, exactly.
That's one reason he made it in the fucking middle. He was like, I want to, he did have a story to tell that he wasn't going to be able to spread out. Now, the whole Naboo fucking Jar Jar Gungan bullshit, I believe he just made that shit up later on, or he got some bad advice, because, what it's like? It's like Stan Lee. I love Stan Lee, but Stan Lee should not make... No. Stan Lee should not write comic books anymore. Someone should tell Stan, hey, you should back off from this. And, maybe there's... George... There was also inconsistencies. There was things they said in the original, the Holy Trilogy, as you're calling it.
I like that you said that he's calling it.
I'm just supporting them on it, because I'm not disagreeing.
I'm giving the title you guys gave it to.
I'm taking it back as our own.
This is an underhanded debating technique.
But I don't know. They've been changing this thing from day one. I hadn't really thought about this, how far back they've been making different versions.
I think this is a fair enough point. And
let me make one point before it goes back to Vince, since you're drinking his
Vince was not going to fucking talk yet. We're like, Vince, what are you thinking? I was trying to shut up, Vince.
All right.
Go ahead.
Oh, but hell, I forgot it. No, but no, I didn't totally forget it. Go ahead.
Vince, you got this. Tell us. I'm sorry, everyone,
All right.
be quiet. Vince, you've got this.
I'm just gonna
Tell us about it.
I'm just going to jump in for a minute or two here without getting fucking yelled at immediately or whatever.
I'm sorry. We love you.
Tell him.
But I'm still a little murky on, the defining line between canon and apocrypha, because as I understand it, canon is the original work, and apocrypha are things that are not accepted as genuine.
Things that were
relating to the
discovered
canon.
post, and basically they were found post after the original canon, quote unquote, was done, and then they had these other stories like, this is part of it too, and we're like, no, because it was not part of the original, we are not accepting it. It is apocrypha.
Okay, well, regardless of whether or not you like Ewoks, or if you hate Jar Jar Binks, or if there are inconsistencies of the story, or if you hate or if you hate fucking Yoda jumping around or whatever.
I really do have strong feelings about Yoda jumping off walls.
I'm concerned about his drug problem, but that's just me.
He's a Jedi. He can do anything he wants.
Let Yoda smoke.
I mean, George Lucas directed all of these movies. I mean, regardless of his motives.
No, he didn't direct them.
Irving Kershner directed Empire for Fahrenheit.
Oh, he did? Well,
yes.
Did George Lucas participate? I mean, was he?
He was the writer and directed episodes. He directed Star Wars Episode 4, if you want to call it Episode 4. And he directed the Episode 1.
Well, he still has ownership.
As writer, I would give him
But
ownership.
he
still
does
has
he does have the final word. He is the creator, mastermind.
Okay, well, he had ownership of the franchise
Exactly.
when these movies were made. And so I'm just saying, is this some sort of subjective line that, that just shifts around and devolves into semantics every time somebody doesn't like something?
It's It's when
That's
I
why I
think
like
it's,
might be better. Where everything. Sorry.
it's, when we hear something that conflicts with what was presented in the original 3 films, that's what calls it into question. And you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. You said this before, and then that's what causes the thing. So it's not. You feel like, hey, it's not like you're not acknowledging that he wrote it, but you're like saying, hey, dude, you changed this on us. That is not where we were, and you kind of...
Well, it seems like kind of a...
Like you lied to me.
For lack
You
of a
cheated
better
on
word.
me a little bit.
For lack of a better word, it seems like kind of a bitch move to just pick and choose the things you like and then, accept like the overarching
He
plot.
picked and choose the things that he liked, though, first, really, because he went, oh, I didn't like that, so I'm going to change it now.
It
So
was
it's
shot
no
first.
more
But
than
I still
equal
accept
treatment.
the major plot, the overarching plot of the prequel movies. I mean, you accept those.
Actually, I don't think they
I
acknowledge the
don't.
movie at all.
I don't though. There was many things. I apologize. I didn't even cut you off. I'll let you go right. I'm sorry. I don't accept those because I think there is a lot of. I disagree with a lot of things with the prequels in their logic at what they consider canon. Metachlorian being the biggest fucking one. I mean, I know, and that's a whole different. I mean, that's an apocryphal thing right there. I think I don't accept that because that completely changed for me as a kid who grew up with the Force through his childhood that was not defined. It connected us. It went through us. It was just this thing. Like everyone had a potential to tap into it, and they're like, nope, fucking parasites. You got bugs, but they're awesome bugs, and they connect you with other shit. It's sort of, for me, that
This
really
sort of predestination.
it killed the dream a little bit.
Okay.
Like it really, I didn't want to peek behind the curtain.
No.
Once I did, what I found was kind of lame.
Okay, no, wait.
Okay.
But what's
Whether, yeah, I'm sorry.
the whole point, like, even in the episode 4, 5, and 6, the Holy Trinity, as I'm calling it, the Jedi were known as a...
I support you on that.
Yeah, that's right. The Jedi weren't really known anymore. They were known as a cult of mystic people who lost power. They're basically people who abused the cult.
They were a council?
No, the Empire treated them as they were a cult, and everybody treated them as they were just all wizards who
but
like the
even
wizards.
within-
They were Wizard of Oz. Let me finish my comment.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, that's the way that they saw it. So when we see episode 1 through 3, and they explain it to it, you get mad because they add some science into it. But it doesn't even make it any less mystical. Everybody still has access to them. Just so people are more attuned to them. It's still a mystical force that you just have to be attuned to them. And being born randomly a Jedi, it doesn't make any difference at having because you have more midichlorians or you don't. You're still born randomly a bloody Jedi. And since Jedis can't have kids, they're not supposed to. It's not supposed to pass by heritage, unless you look at the canon, which eventually they do.
Well, that's the whole thing, because that the whole idea that, I mean, the potential was in my brain that Han could get the Force someday. But really,
He
he
is
couldn't because he has the midichlorians. But since he banged Leia, and she's got midichlorians...
That's incorrect, actually. Han is form sensitive. Force sensitive.
He's porn sensitive?
Yes, he is.
How are we all?
I want to talk about this.
Okay, Scully, come on. He spent, what is it, 9 Castle? The Castle, what is it, 8
Castle
parsecs?
Run.
Kessel Run 12 parsecs.
12
That's a
parsecs,
whole
yeah,
different fucking... I mean, this is a point, too,
By
we say the original
himself,
trilogy
by
is not
himself,
perfect.
By himself.
Do we really know
with a
how hard
Wookiee.
that is?
There's gonna be some bloody point in
We
that
don't
shit,
really
I'm
know.
telling you
He's
that
a
right now.
braggart.
I think you have an excellent point, though. Like, he doesn't know that he's sensitive, Han, but, like, he clearly is. And, and in the movie, he says, it's all a bunch of, like, stupid nonsense and tricks and luck.
Sensitivity may, in fact, just be your openness to being sensitive
Yeah,
to the
like-
Force. And
Exactly.
also, just to say, like, because even though I was offended by the midichlorians from the beginning, I do find a loophole in the fact that we are talking about a previous era in time, and concepts of science and religion are constantly evolving, and maybe that's just the way they were, like, defining it at that time, and then, like, years later, that had evolved to be something different. So, there, George. I give that to you, even though I don't care for it.
Interesting. So what you're saying, I like that. That's a
Well,
good
no, if
idea.
you look at modern physics and you have the, comparison between matter and energy, and, the fact that light is both energy and a photon, which is a particle, like, you can kind of see that parallel of, what's happened in science. That doesn't make it any more fucking legitimate, however, and I don't give it to you.
I do want to know if you can do blood doping, though. I am
Think about
interested
this.
in that.
There's a logic. I mean, I don't know. Just tell me what you think about this. We're going to start. There's a certain logic the way she explained that, because if you figure that 20, how many years we're saying post Jedi's wiped out to when New Hope happens? What we're saying, 20 years? Luke's 20-ish.
I can't even check one of that, but we said 20 earlier today. So.
Old enough to join the academy. Either way, he
Bring up the academy, that would be an hour.
That'll be our next podcast. Will be about the
It
academy.
really
Yeah.
should be.
But if you figure all the Jedis are wiped out, right? So Jedis aren't around. This is a bunch of knowledge. This is knowledge that was taken away. This is akin like the fucking Mayans when they wiped. Hold on. When they
Relevant to your point. Actually, now the Jets were, according to the canon, there was a bunch of them hiding everywhere.
Well, there was some out there hiding, but they were considered more of a myth at that point.
Oh, yeah,
Matter of fact, that's how Han refers to them, as hokey ancient religions and hokey superstitions. So 20 years go by, plus you've got the fucking Sith, Palpatine in control, the propaganda machine's going. So at that point, the whole idea of midichlorians and the fact that you could search out and make more Jedis if you knew about this, if they took that knowledge away,
You would want to suppress that.
you'd want to suppress that, so they're like, no, it's the Force. They make it more cryptic intentionally. So since we're our original, the Holy Trilogy, I think is as you called it, since that is, taken, years later, maybe that's what's happened. Like Melody said, maybe that the idea's evolved. I can accept that. I can buy that. For whatever reason, that logic works. George, fuck you. You didn't write this. That's a houseofhaha.com idea. And you can come ignore me and not sue me for anything else I may have played with your toys before, so.
Fuck him, he doesn't.
If you want to pay us,
He did not do it gently.
we'll take
I did not. So, I don't know. I kind of like that. But I think as far as, I'm not saying I accept midichlorians, but I'm saying as far as how to accept the idea of the difference between the two, the Holy Trilogy, and I see the difference in it.
Developmental, scientific point of view, but that just reinforces the fact that it was a change.
But change is a natural part. We should be recording this.
It is, we're going.
Change is a natural part of anything. That's what makes accepting all the canon Star Wars universe more real. If you have this rigid 3 things that will never change, then how much do you give Star Wars to live? 5, 10 years before the people who experience their childhood stuff to stop caring?
Like, yeah,
Or get dementia? Yeah, maybe a little more than 5, 10 years.
He makes good points. He really does make good points in that aspect. Like he's not wrong, and I can make the same arguments for Star Trek. I can make arguments for people when I watched Next Generation, and people who were like original series fans were like, "That's not Star Trek, Captain Kirk." And I'm like, Captain Kirk got fat. Because that's the Captain Kirk I got introduced to. I was with this British dude, Captain Picard, and then as Star Trek has gone on, I accept Star Trek as a whole. I don't. As an entire thing.
So what can you do with Star Wars the whole thing?
I don't know, because Star Wars, I guess, because there has been a consistency of Star Trek throughout my life. The same way that Star Wars has been always kind of there for me. Star Trek's always been there for me.
But from what I understand, it fucks everything up.
Yeah, it destroys everything. It's a terrible movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the new
Star Trek movie.
It does.
They get rid of every single movie. Like nothing.
I think it's the difference is because the Star Wars sticks with the same characters, and the Star Trek, they kind of broke it up and made it completely different so that they didn't have to exactly keep everything the same way. So it doesn't piss people off quite as much, and you have a ton of
Star Trek is a way more
right off
consistent.
room.
No, but
But also,
sorry.
there's like a history of people just getting pissed about stuff and like fighting over it. And, like, can you actually remember if it really pissed you off first, or if you heard somebody else being pissed off, and then you're like,
they have a point.
wait,
I should be mad about that.
now I'm mad too.
And that's like, that's what this is all about, really, you know, as far as like, that's the kind of why I want to record these conversations and have these talks, is because, you know, like I said earlier, it's hard to define what it means to be a geek. And it's...
Why do you have to define these things all the time?
You don't have to, I guess, because it's how I understand them. Because there's this weird change going on in the world right now, where, like, people are fucking talking about Star Wars in the grocery store, and, like, Transformers, and Batman, and people have knowledge that we considered, like, you know, like the inside, there's no more inside jokes. Like, all my jokes are outside now. I made an entire business around that.
Do you want to know why? Because your generation had kids.
I know.
They showed us movies, and we liked it. So now that we're reaching adult, we're teaching our kids. So it's not a secret anymore. It's just becoming part of culture. Your subculture is dying and becoming culture. You should accept it and be happy.
Exactly what
will not
Eric
die
is
with it.
saying is why it's the Apocrypha and why it's important. Like, I just want to thank Eric for making my argument.
What's his...
for me.
How did he... But no, how did he explain that? How did he make your argument in that for him?
Well, no,
Because he's kind of making a good point.
Like, we had these things, and there was this knowledge that was, like, hidden from us. And in a certain sense, there's something significant about it. And we've given it to them, in a way. Like, I mean, maybe that's what's important about it. You know, is the fact that there is knowledge that's not hidden anymore. It is out there.
So it's apocrypha to us, but it's not to them.
But see,
but
that's the thing about
it's growing.
But that's one of the points I've been trying to make, though, is that just because I call it apocryphal and I don't necessarily buy into all of it, it's still important because it still allows me to learn.
So you do accept it.
About Star Wars.
And
to a degree, like how would
apocryphal.
how would you define your acceptance of it? I mean, like,
Entertained by...
to be entertained. There you go.
There's some, well, in episode 1 and 2, there's really not much entertaining involved, but
They are terrible
People
guys.
love parody.
But what they do, though, is they do teach me that these are some things that happened, you know, and just because there are some specific things that I don't buy and that I don't believe and that I think, you know, is him trying to tell a story and not now lying to me.
It teaches you about yourself.
But, you know, you know, like all these novels and episodes 1, 2, and 3, and even the scene with Han Solo and Jabba the Hutt in the episode 4, which was cut because it was horrible, because if you stepped on fucking Jabba the Hutt's tail, you would have been shot immediately. Like, you just don't do that.
Have you ever seen that?
And gross.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that was horrible. Horrible. So.
You know what? I mean, if we're going to accept that original movies and stuff in that time, because you know what? Fucking the holiday special came out in between Empire and Star Wars. That predates that's right in the middle, and I really hate that a lot. I don't want to.
But that's
we need to
fine.
find
That's
this.
like real. That's not even. That's like people. There were real people in that.
Fucking Luke was there.
Special.
Luke was there, and C-3PO was there, and this is, you know what? This is what we need to figure out in this.
And more importantly, it has stuff.
So you're saying that you want us to accept that Luke traveled to the future, where he interacted with B. Arthur on television in our past.
Well, they didn't call her.
What you were trying
No.
to say?
They didn't call her B. Arthur. She had like a name. She's an actress.
I didn't see that.
And
Or if I did, it's blocked. So, like, she played a character.
I mean, there's a line. I'm not
What did
counting the
she do
Muppet
in this
Show Star
special?
Wars episode, you know, from 1978. Really,
Can
canon
anyone tell me
either.
what B. Arthur does in this special?
She hangs off Art Carney, and
But as a character?
I'm just glad someone knows.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've never been able to make it through one whole viewing of that.
Well, then maybe
I
you
mean-
shouldn't speak as an authority on it.
I'm not speaking as authority. My point is that within
I think
the time frame and
every one
reference,
of us can agree.
you have to accept it as part of that. That can
No,
be a part of
no,
Everything is.
Like,
Everything
if you
is.
look at books that are considered apocryphal in the Bible, like, you know, there are questions as to exactly when the various Gospels and things are written. But a general range dates from, like, you know, around 50 to 150 AD. And many of the books that are considered apocryphal in the Bible were clearly written at or about that same time frame. I mean, there are others that were written later, and I apologize that I don't have all of the specifics on all of that, but if somebody really wants to look it up,
Wikipedia's there. Right
feel
now.
free to tell us about it.
After all, we'll just start with Steve.
Feel free to comment on this. This is a blog.
But
You
yeah,
can
like,
comment on
this
this.
is the kid who grew up in the buckle of the Bible Belt and heard other kids in first, second grade talk about Sunday school. I didn't know what they were talking about. I just knew Sunday and school didn't go together. So.
You're like, I don't go to school on. That's a Monday thing. You people are weird.
Yeah,
I watch Star Wars.
I get why
that's
people don't
what
get
was
in
going on most Sunday mornings. I was watching Star Wars.
Okay, but I just wanted to say that was not really Luke Skywalker. That was Mark Hamill dressed as Luke Skywalker. Like in that special, that is real life.
No, that was not. That was it's
No,
considered.
well, then you need to write the story of how he traveled to the future and
Would it
earn
be
your
the past?
millions
He didn't
that
travel to
way.
the future.
He
It's
had
taking
to,
place in a
because that was
galaxy
like-
long. It takes place in the same universe. It's the same canon.
So somebody
It
from
takes
so
place
B. Arthur,
a
who may or may not
long,
be playing a
long time ago.
character.
in a galaxy far, far away.
So B. Arthur traveled in time, or her character, which nobody can tell me what this is.
She's
because
not like the chick
actually
from Golden.
watch it.
It's not the chick from Golden Girls that show up in Star Wars. There's not a Gold Girl Star Wars.
Talks about how bad it is. It's the
That
worst
would be
Star
better.
Wars episode ever.
No.
I hate it, and it's bullshit, and I don't even want to think about it. And you didn't even see it. I don't know.
No, I have
No,
seen it.
I
in
think we
pieces.
can. I think we can come to a
I'm ready for that
consensus.
fully.
I think we can clearly come to a consensus. But that was something
Everything canon.
that may have been contemporary to what I would consider canon.
It's the first appearance of
But-
Boba Fett.
I can also
Overrated.
strongly say that it's apocryphal. Like I can make that decision.
I don't even think
Like,
anybody
firm.
think that it's part of the canon.
Yeah,
I guess
No, it is. If it's any Star Wars,
but
it's
you
part of
said that
the
doesn't
Like,
count.
so are you telling
That's
me?
no
do you
reason
think
to base-
Do you know if B. Arthur was a character or herself in this show?
Like,
She was an actress. She got paid to do a job.
Apparently, after we watch Return of the Jedi, we will be looking this up on YouTube.
But I'm just saying, this is like a real world event. I don't even understand. I mean, in terms of defining it as yes, that happened in the Star Wars.
You can say that the
But like in
actress
terms of like
had a similar,
timeline.
and a long time ago, one of her descendants looked exactly like her, and happened to be with Luke Skywalker at that exact point.
So Luke Skywalker at one point does a TV show.
There's so many Star Wars fans
You
right
never
now
know.
making fun
There
of
is
us.
TV shows in episode 1, 2, and 3. There's four shows at that 50 diner
I will.
run by that alien with the robot.
Wasn't there like an audience? I mean, I guess there is like.
There would be
an
television.
audience.
I mean,
Like,
they have
there's
bars,
some-
there's television.
They go to
Figure it out.
Kashyyyk.
I just
It's
don't understand.
Life
It's
Day.
called a special.
It's a holiday because it was it was the late 70s. Everything that came on that
we
wasn't
didn't spend
Scojo
entirely
special.
too much time
This is
discussing
real life.
crap.
But if
Like,
anything,
just to be clear, we're talking about what is clearly considered
just
by like
never-
99.9% of all Star Wars fans
We need
to be crap.
We
And
need
we've
to-
talked
I
about
would
it
have
too
said they
long.
probably didn't
Okay,
see it. I've
well,
learned.
I wanna-
I want to get a newcomer.
Okay, Vince.
Okay, as a newcomer, I'm gonna try to wrap this up.
But you're all done now.
Okay, and I want to pose a simple question.
Okay.
Okay, it seems like Star Wars, the Star Wars universe, is so broad and so popular now that it's kind of a cliche. I mean, at least it's popular enough to be extremely profitable.
Well, it's always been profitable.
Yes, it's always been profitable, but now it's, I mean,
Disney owns it.
It's
Yeah.
part of it's this whole that, and that's one reason I was saying earlier about one of these podcasts and talking about trying not to define what geek culture is, because it's this weird change, because it's like the subculture. What's pop culture now has always been my culture, and I think that's why so in Star Wars now has this weird thing where like it's as much as mom and apple pie. Like everyone accepts Star Wars. It's this very open thing. Everyone loves it. It's not this thing that's just a small group of people get in and talk about it. Like it's part of Star Wars is very much part of what it means to like Star Wars means to live in America.
What?
That's a broad term I'm saying. I know. I'm rambling at this point. I realize that, but
for people that,
wow, I should
for
remember
some
all
reason still haven't seen all the Star Wars movies, there's this
this table.
trepidation.
I know a lot of people haven't seen it, actually.
Yeah, there's a
Like,
lot of
because you
people.
don't want to be one of those guys?
No,
or-
I don't mind being one of those guys, but I still wouldn't consider myself a Star Wars geek if I watched all the movies. I still wouldn't consider myself a Star Wars geek if I watched the fucking Laserdisc, the original episode 4. I still wouldn't consider myself a Star Wars geek if I read, like 20 books on.
What's the dividing line?
So you're basically saying this is all fucking stupid point you guys are
No,
talking
no,
about
no,
it.
no, That's the point.
Basically, I'm making a good point, right? The reason I call myself Star Wars geek is when the first time I watched Star Wars, I fell in love with it. My favorite toy today, which I still own, even though it's badly broken, it's a battle droid, which I named after my dad because I thought it was the coolest shit in the world.
Which I hated those battle droids.
I love them. They're my favorite thing. I have like 20 million in my house.
Can we get a group?
Oh, whatever.
Aww.
But
it's like when I first started Return of the Jedi.
Well,
But the reason I consider myself Star Wars geek, so I have played the card game, a game that has gone extinct basically, and I still play it to this day. I know more about
Like the
that.
tabletop, like the card game.
It's a little card game. It's a card game.
Like Magic kind of version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about it. Like I know about Bosch, and then I wanted to learn more about him, so I went into the books.
So you learned about Star Wars from the card game. That's when you started. That was your introduction to the broader universe
movie
outside
started
the
me,
movies.
The reason that really launched me into Star Wars was the card game, and that's different between your age and ours. I had a lot of more ways to get into it, and I loved it. I was able to embrace the universe as a whole. You guys have closed yourself out in this little bubble, and you refuse to grow out of it because you're afraid to see the changes.
Today.
No, just to be clear, like, going to see episode 1, like, it was so ultimately anticlimactic, and just like, there's this kid, and I'm like, no, I don't think you built C-3PO. I don't believe that. No. That's no.
You lost me at midichlorians.
Exactly. And, oh, wait, there's this pod race, and, oh, look at that. This kid just randomly ends up in exactly the right spot at the right time.
Why is 3PO naked?
That's what happened to Luke.
Well, that's
it was so disappointing.
You can't nitpick it like fictional.
But it was so disappointing. But I'm being freely that this is definitely tied to emotional issues that go back to the womb. I've been clear about that.
It's a universe. You have to accept everything.
But it was so
between now and childhood.
And then going to see episode 2, all I could think was, well, it can't be worse than episode 1.
But you already said that
And
earlier.
it was.
You know what?
It just was. Like, the only thing about that movie was good was when Amidala was crawling through the tunnel and you could see her nipples. That was the only good thing about the whole fucking movie.
Cool. Let's watch that.
I know. Everything to YouTube.
We'll try to get that link on there too. Holiday special, whatever you need. One-stop shopping here.
I love fan service.
I don't.
Come on,
No,
Leia in a slave suit, Return of the Jedi. No more fan service you need there.
Okay.
You can't say that
I think that Leia in the slave costume has given all of us our fair amount of pleasure. Enough said.
Yeah.
You were going to say something?
I don't know.
And we just lost the girl.
I don't think we really had her, to be honest with you. She's popped in and out every now and then going, "You're so fucking stupid. I'll be here."
I did not do that.
I know, you made
Why
a
are you
good point.
portraying me like that?
I'm sorry.
All right, let's summarize the.
I think we should make closing arguments.
I don't know if we can. I think we've actually made it. We might have
I
even
don't
made it.
know,
so
but I
more
like what you were talking about it being cliche, because that is something that irritates me because of I consider it a matter of standards now, because to me the original Star Wars came from this young boy who had this idea that was not necessarily so commercial based as how I see Star Wars now. Now I just feel like they're trying to get me to fucking buy something all the time. I see what you're doing there. I see you. And stop doing this to me. And I feel like it's a constant assault, and they just can just crap out anything and they expect that I will love it and I will buy it because it says the word Star Wars on it. And I'm super offended by that.
I have a question. Are you mad that they're making it, or that you're still buying it?
I'm not still buying it personally, but I'm
that would be me.
But we're still buying into Star Wars no matter what they're making. I went to see the 3D release for Pete's sakes.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. They're counting on you. You are sheep in a manner of speaking. You are sheep.
Wow, that was sheep.
Oh, that's really just doesn't have a plural with an S, but there's so many of you.
Wow, we just lost all of the listeners right there.
I'm just saying. saying.
We're all sheeple.
I'm just saying, keep your eyes
Does anyone
open
else
and
feel-
watch what they're doing to you.
Does anyone feel offended, or is it just me?
I'm just saying, have
Check the
some
hate mail.
standards about you. Do not have to eat
Well,
everything
no.
that's put in front of
I don't
you.
know. One of the things,
gotcha,
though, that you
I
can
gotcha.
also take from, from the whole concept that it sort of has become cliche is because of the simple fact, though, that when we were kids, we thought we were geeks and that we liked Star Wars and that we didn't have friends because we liked Star Wars. But the simple fact
You guys
is...
really think this consciously when you were kids?
Yes!
Okay, let me take it right there. When I was 14, playing a card game on a Saturday or during lunch break at the library, do you think I was really cool? No, we were all still bloody nerds. And to
No,
this day, I
I
still
know, but my
have that
point is,
stuff.
though,
Really,
is the fact
no.
that-
Maybe
but-
our generation was more aware of it, and we began to change it because we wanted to get it all out of the...
But let me finish this quickly.
Go ahead.
But the simple fact is, though, is that even though we thought we didn't have friends because we liked Star Wars, the fact is that even those people that we thought had friends, they liked Star Wars too.
So
Fact
just
is,
better looking?
everybody liked it, and perhaps they were better looking. I don't know, although I'm fucking hot.
Star Wars was your
About
social...
people's shyness.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Melanie.
Maybe when people's shyness and you're like avowedness to Satan. That puts people off.
No, I get what Glenn is...
Like the cheer and like being the embodiment thereof in the buckle, as you put it. I don't know. Could have been.
For our
I didn't give
generation...
myself the name Satan. That was given unto me.
But you loved it, and therefore it was yours.
Do love
You didn't
it
argue with
still.
it.
I do love it still.
You didn't have that in common. I was going at the crush in junior high as well.
There's a fist bump, by the way.
I blew it up.
I think there were probably people who didn't know his real name. I honestly do.
There was, though...
I was called the communist throughout high school.
When we were kids, Star Wars
I
toys
know.
and things like that were like the social lubricant. Like that is kind of like, I mean, I've thought about this many times. Like when you were a kid, like, you know, as an adult, like you define your success, or some people define their success as like my house, my car, my things I have.
Materialistic.
Like you can kind of see your socio-economic status. When you were a kid, at least for me, my memory of the '80s, you know, like is it was what kind of toys you had. You know,
Still has Transformer toys.
I have every toy I've ever owned as a child. It's around the fucking corner.
I know
It's
that
taped
right.
Awesome.
It really.
I have 2 Millennium Falcons.
Awesome.
It is pretty cool.
I'm seeing a pattern of definitions bumming people out, though.
Well, no.
We need to name them so we can feel bad about
Super
it.
depressed by the
Well, no,
But they're aware of what they are.
Like as a kid, you don't.
This is what we do.
You're like, did you see fucking Timmy? Yeah. Well, Timmy's got him fucking. He's got the Falcon. You know, because I didn't have a Falcon as a kid. Matter of fact, I have a lightsaber in there, and I bought that lightsaber in 1997. When they re-released him, because when I was a kid, my parents couldn't afford to buy me a lightsaber. I mean, my mom was very generous. I got a lot. I mean, you can see I have a lot of toys.
Yeah.
My mom was good, but there was always those really cool toys. Those things like having who didn't want a fucking lightsaber? Even the lightsabers then were stupid because they were like inflatable and they were like just giant one-piece dildos.
Let me ask. I know I can feel like my favorite soccer session is an
I'm sure
R&D
I
was
have
very
friends who turn
racist.
them into bombs.
Oh, that
But
one.
if you were the kid who had a fucking lightsaber at that point, oh my God, everyone loved you. The girls loved you.
Really?
The
What
guys-
girls? What girls?
Some girls, well, no.
You're just saying that nobody liked them because they like Star Wars, and you're saying the exact
Apparently
opposite.
you live in
but
the
we
opposite
got like a
town.
coast issue because maybe it's different in California.
Yeah,
I could
was
define
in
my-
Cali when it happened, and I wasn't very popular.
Let me break out my violin here.
That's how I
in
identify,
the
though.
70s, Star Wars was just like catnip for the ladies.
Well, through my entire life, I've related everything to, like, my geek loves. You know, all my relationships, my friendships, my career, everything has stemmed, you know, from that. So in that way, I can relate to where Glenn's coming from, because, we're similar in that way, where Star Wars fucking influenced him. For whatever degree or another. He learned that certain things were bullshit in his life.
I mean, let's be clear that the reason we're having this conversation is because when Eric calls it the trilogy, the Holy Trilogy or Holy Trinity.
As Eric calls it.
Blasphemous.
Yeah. Like,
I think he
there's
loves
no
it.
two ways about the fact that when I grew up, I didn't have a religion, and in a lot of ways, Star Wars was my religion. And a lot of the way I interpret the world is through the eyes of Star Wars.
That's true.
And, you know, and so comparing Star Wars to the Bible, we're doing it, comparing it to, like, the canon accepted Bible and the Apocrypha, which are not typically accepted. You know, but there are so many other ways, obviously, that you can compare Star Wars and the Bible and the story of Christianity. So,
Everybody has their hands.
there's no doubt that Star Wars, in so many ways, is my religion.
All right, but it's one thing we can agree on. And you have to mention that Star Wars was social lubricant.
It was social lubricant. It was, yes.
Yeah, it was the same for me, and I'm sure
That's
for
why
people you
people
may
wear
have
Card games. You play card games.
And
By the
I actually
way.
love that. Like,
Apropos.
looking now,
Yeah.
I am 23 years old, and I'm hanging out with
Old people.
old people. Discussing Star Wars.
Old
You
people.
like
Saturday night.
Dungeons.
Yeah. I mean, we only changed.
That's fucking
It's all because
Because that's cooler than Star Wars.
it's all because Star
Other
Wars.
than Star Wars.
And Star Wars might be like,
Role-playing
it might be
show.
this huge universe or these 3 movies. But the one thing that connects it all is that it connects this huge group of people and gives something in common to talk about. People who normally would not talk to each other because they hate talking to people.
People think that geeks are not social, but that is the exact opposite. Is that because
Man, do we love to
that's
argue.
what we want. We
That's
do.
right.
That's
That's
why
why other people
we're-
don't want to hang out with you. You're argumentative.
I know.
But you know that's
What's your most core belief? I will dispute it.
Anything.
Like, that's why you're antisocial. Problem solved.
And I may never win a game, but
Fine.
damn it, neither will you.
geeks. You know, geeks are those. That's why we wear these T-shirts. That's what we buy. You know, as kids, we had those toys. That's why. That's why Underoos were a successful fucking product. You know, this is how you make friends.
Make frenemies.
I guess
Like,
frenemies.
I love to argue with that guy. Oh my
You
god.
do, because we love to talk. We love to debate. We love to we know fucking. We're doing it. Fucking just throw in the academy. We might as well fucking do it. We're on the
Let's do it.
subject.
Okay, fine.
This was probably the first Star Wars argument or debate we had. Was this
More.
one of our earliest games when you're just like, you said it was this, and I'm just like, horseshit.
Yeah, okay, yeah. After I gave you hot sauce and you started hating.
That wasn't fucking hot sauce. After you poured hydrochloric acid on my chip.
All right,
And then poured all the milk out of the house.
Let me introduce the point. In episode 4, Luke mentions joining the academy to go with his friends. And my point was that Luke wants to join the Imperial Academy to get away from Tatooine and leave his uncles and join the world. Basically, any American in any small town wants to join the Army, the Navy, and explore the world, you know. Go to Russia, Germany, if you're unlucky, South Korea right now.
Jump to it. Who's the military? Who was the academy that you think Luke is
The
joining?
Imperial Academy, obviously.
The fucking Empire. You really? This
They
is
are
the
the
whole point.
military. They are the major military force in the area. Why would an empire that seeks to control the whole galaxy and it even has influence in the outer rims will allow independent academies to train rebel pilots? That is ridiculous. They will go down and destroy them.
They're clones. They're stormtroopers. If
Actually,
we accept the Apocrypha.
You're wrong. You're wrong. By the time episode 4, if you look it up, according to the canon, the majority of stormtroopers were actually real humans.
Says who?
Look it up in Wikipedia. Look it up in Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. I know it's real. I know.
It's real. And
Wikipedia. That's where to go to. Did you
I-
read Wikipedia or just Wikipedia today?
in Wikipedia.
You were unprepared, sir.
You should have read the Apocrypha.
Okay, wait.
Is the Apocrypha
I'm just
in
saying,
Wikipedia?
if you read it, the majority of clones by episode 4, where the majority of stormtroopers were actually humans. But it's only after the downfall of the Empire and the end of
My
I
understanding
don't accept something
I don't
on the internet
accept that. My
wasn't part of the
understanding-
fucking story.
Wikipedia is heavily
Show me the I will accept it at minimum if you show me the story that says that. I'd accept it approved Lucas novel.
Okay, you were accepting Wikipedia
is
earlier.
just as like documented as the Wikipedia. I would look
which is not at all.
Well, I
No,
mean,
but-
source, it's cited.
No, but you accepted the source earlier today as Wikipedia. I would say
No, I didn't
Wikipedia
accept it. I
was
just mentioned that
more
Glenn went to it. I
I
just
just
said it's
mean
where
it's
it comes-
cited.
I referenced. I did not.
No,
Okay,
I did not.
my understanding,
That most students
my understanding is that Apocrypha or not, stormtroopers were clones. If you were in the Empire and you were wearing a mask, you're a part of.
Do you know what
You
changed?
were a clone.
There were actually several mini rebellions within the Empire between the.
What?
Yeah, there were.
What? This is why people argue with you.
I'm throwing you the canon.
Things like
You were refusing to believe the canon because you chose to refuse to read any of the books.
I've read some.
Not
No.
enough. Because
Well, sometimes Peter David and Star Trek need my attention too. I'm an Omni geek. I love a lot.
but not enough to like be.
Star Wars.
I was
his-
fan, apparently.
Star Wars novels, to be honest with you, in general, I've read. I mean, I like the Timothy Zahn stuff, but there's not many Star Wars novels I've read that got me excited.
Okay, in that point,
Star Trek novels I enjoy.
who's the biggest Star Wars fan? Person who actually knows about the universe and every intricate and every middle thing that happens from the beginning to end, or someone who only
That's a
knows
trap.
about a certain time
That's a
period.
trap. It's a trap!
A fan is a
Also available at
thing, but I think
houseofhaha.com.
that being more of an authority, you would have to be defined as more of an authority.
Like, I hate to use the words of obsessed with something to be a fanatic.
We're having a geek conversation. I don't think we really
Yeah,
can
because I
avoid the
don't
word.
think
No, but
obsession
but the word obsessed is overused in our current culture by everyone.
I agree.
And I'm saying that someone actually takes the time, like most of my generation does, to read everything, to play every game, to play every single card, anything that says Star Wars on it, they will look into it and spend money on it and research on it. And compared to one person who only watches 3 movies, and that's the only thing they will watch.
We got to remember, we were those kids though. At that age, that's all we fucking had, and a holiday special.
Yeah, but now you have more. Your universe has expanded. You just have this boom as happiness instead of fighting against it.
It happened,
Well, that's
but
bullshit.
before the boom happened,
More than same apparently.
on 2 occasions since the original theatrical releases, on 2 occasions, they have altered minute things for really no purpose. They've altered, they've done updates or changed things, the whole shot first and stuff. So, we didn't have this we had that a lot longer than we've had all this Star Wars has been available.
See, but to me, it's the opposite. To me, that's the normal. Star Wars is that every single universe is like the real universe.
It wasn't for us though. Star Wars was locked in. It was 3 movies. It does not expand. It wasn't changing.
I
So
think
the problem is
we knew it was
we
coming.
can't move on as part of it.
No, but
I think we
we'll-
have to accept that, to embrace this concept, to acknowledge we are putting we understand that it's silly, but we're putting
We're
our feet in
calling
the sand.
bullshit.
But I think overall, as time goes by, our side will get more, and it will become the norm. And you guys will be I think the correct way to say
It's like how they
it.
get rid of racists. Eventually, they just die off. Eventually,
Exactly.
we'll die. Everyone will accept the
Or become
I think, you're saying that there was a point in time where it sold out, and you're not going with them anymore.
There was I don't know. I mean, he sold out early on by making toys, and I love him for that.
That's different
So-
though. Like,
How is it
because,
different?
like,
No, you can't draw a line where
Well,
you want
boys,
it. You got to
some-
nitpick.
I
Well,
don't
I think
Why?
there was a time though, when he did that and he made the toys, that was absolutely key to creating the fact, because how many times would I have really watched the movie as a child if I didn't have all those toys to recreate it, and I needed to go back and be like, oh, this is how that happened or something, so that I could go play with my toys. It was all interconnected and making me watch it over and over again. And it was new. It was different. It's not like today when, every time there's a new fucking movie coming out, you can go find the Transformer version of it at Walmart.
So now we're bringing capitalism into this. Okay.
Capitalism is entirely entwined into this.
in it. That's what
You
makes
can't
me bitter
separate
about
it.
it. That's
Exactly.
Now,
why.
what you're saying about it
And
is a negative because it has destroyed your
When it started out as
religion.
positive.
No, for me, it's not about my childhood religion. It's about a work of art, and when you sacrifice art for money or for cheap money.
But art is subjective.
Yes, but this is just,
See, to
and
me-
it's purely my own thing. I let you have whatever you want. I don't care what you believe
But
in,
obviously,
because
but
I
you
can.
can't
I tried to be clear about that from the beginning, too.
but if
I like to want to find a way where everybody can.
By
be
using
right.
the term what's the term again? I can't pronounce.
Social lubricant?
No, they have.
The Holy Trilogy, as you call it?
Apocrypha, yeah.
Okay.
This is a term you clearly draw the line where you say, well, this is the holy learning right here, and down here you are.
This is where you started lying to me. Or where
No,
you
but
became
that's your
inconsistent to
opinion.
your product. This is where the new Coke came
See,
in.
but to me, basically, you guys are the foundation,
Oh.
and now we are building up on it. Unless
It's
you
fine.
accept it.
You are welcome to accept the capitalist nonsense that they put out to you. I welcome you to that. That is your right. That's the nature of our society, and that's how it is, like, rumored to flourish. So.
Look, you must be a real communist, man.
Yeah, because you're a
I don't understand. So
I'm not a huge
I am
fan
a
of
terrible communist. I
capitalism,
am trying to
so-
become a better one.
Speaking of capitalism, if you go to houseofhaha.com, we made a T-shirt about this very subject because after Glenn first introduced me to the idea of the Apocrypha, I said that was genius, and I believe there's a people out here who agree with you and think that they do not accept these movies. They don't, or at the very least, they just don't fucking like them, and they enjoy making fun of them, much like Aquaman people.
Right.
So,
I mean, you may not like John,
we made
but
it.
there's a lot of people exist that we don't like in life.
That's true. So,
Well, it's
if
gonna
you
be
go to
amazing.
houseofhaha.com, you can find the T-shirt, the mugs, the hats, all these wonderful things that have this design that was inspired by this man's brain and these fucked up conversations. When we keep talking, I just want to point that out. That was also, this is available out there. Since we're talking about capitalism and making money.
I have a plug for you, actually. I went to a Comic-Con last year, and I wore one of his shirts. And I got compliments from every cute girl in the cosmic one.
Every cute girl.
I'm not even
Haha
kidding.
gets you laid.
I'm not even kidding. I had this Pac-Man, like, Death Star shirt on. Awesome. Compliments of you.
Pac-Man.
A lot of, you know what? A lot of women like our, our fans of
A lot of girls.
a lot of girls buy our clothes. Like probably the majority of the people who buy our clothes are actually are female.
A gift for their awkward boyfriend.
I think for them and gifts for their boyfriends. I think it's a combination of, but it definitely wasn't what I expected. It's cool though. Anyway, we don't have enough to talk about that. Just wanted to throw that little bit of commercial inside there.
Buy shirts.
So I think
Buy shirts, get laid.
Oh,
We just sold a million shirts right here.
it is House of Ha, and ladies like a sense of humor, especially emblazoned across your chest, or on your hat, or your canvas eco tote bag, or your coffee mug.
Oh my God, stop talking.
Anyway, moving on. I think in this, you got to remember, we were a generation too. We were talking about the consumerism aspect of it. We were kind of the first generation where they really fucking heavily entwined. Here's some shit you love. Now go buy the toy. Because really, like He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers, all these things they made. We love them all because they made these really interesting characters with really developed, character developments and stories and backstories and continuity and things like that. And and their whole purpose was go fucking get your parents to buy them, and it worked. So we are kind of the.
You guys were the guinea pigs.
I know the '80s is kind of it's sort of a retro thing right now. But when I remember the '80s, the '80s was the me generation. It was people. It was about spending money and buying shit and having things and
Parachute pants.
Yeah, I had them, dude. Purple. They were awesome. Fucking MC Hammer, dude. Man, there's a mural back home in my hometown in Yuba City, in California. There's a mural on the side of Lee's Canton. It's like a Chinese restaurant. It's been there forever. Of a mural we painted. Then we painted ourselves on the outside of the mural, painted the mural. And those fucking parachute pants are immortalized for the last almost 20 years now.
I mean, imagine though, really, it's like a little bit of a stretch, but Eric could have been raised by a dad who was a dude like you. That would have...
Kind of depressing.
Why is it a stretch?
It's also
It's like because your dad had been
Oh,
15
super
to
old.
be, and then it would be this. I mean, but it could totally happen.
I think it's interesting too. The fact is that you grew up. How long did you live? How long did you live in Mexico, or how long did you live in the U.S.?
California.
In California, were you born?
Oxnard, California.
It was always in California.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know because we've actually never talked about our past before, but I know you have a very strong Spanish heritage and background in your family and stuff. So you have a different background that's very different from ours in the culture and stuff.
That's snob about it.
I was there for the first 12 years of my life. I didn't learn English till I was in 6th grade.
First 12 years you were where?
In Oxnard, California.
In California. Okay.
Yeah, and I went to a private school and
Oxnard near the beach or Oxnard near the turnip fields?
near the beach.
Oh, nice, right on. Turnip fields are horrible.
Way nicer than the fields.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you love turnips because they're spicy.
No, but I didn't learn English until I was in 6th grade, so everything I said was in Spanish because that's the way my parents wanted it, because they were immigrants from Mexico. Legal immigrants, in case you're listening to Joe Arpaio.
So wait, but so they were illegal immigrants.
No, they were legal.
They were legal immigrants. So, but they
They-
were, but they wanted to like
They
preserve
weren't
their
sure.
culture.
They weren't sure they wanted to stay in this country.
All right.
They're trying it out. They were dating.
For like 12
America
years,
for a short
apparently.
time. They're
For
like,
10, 12 years. And they were like, you know what, we kind of like it here.
let's commit.
Yeah, so let's switch our kids to a mainstream school and hope to learn English by the time they're in 6th grade. Hands the bloody accent.
Wow. What were your parents' plans
So
for
they
your
can just
future,
play
like from
bloody.
before
They're
that?
Going back to Mexico, they didn't want to stay in this country very long.
That's part of what I want to talk to you about, or kind of, I'm excited about having your take on this. I already knew you were very much for the trilogy, because I already kind of knew your background. We've talked about this before, but like even the idea of calling this thing "Growing Up Geek in America," that's probably the broadest geek term I can give that defines me. You know, it's like, well, I'm a geek and I grew up in America, so that is the broadest way to summarize. You know, I probably read comic books, I played video games,
No, but you know what?
so on and so forth. But I think, you know, having your culture, you know, group of
No,
culture
but
is different from
I
that.
actually didn't I wouldn't say I didn't actually become an American because I was born in America. I didn't learn English a lot.
No, not even that.
No, but I'm just
cultural.
saying that. But it wasn't until I moved to Arizona and I started talking to people. I had watched Star Wars before, but it was a thing that I liked by myself. I never really shared with anyone.
So it wasn't your social
What's the
lubricant.
dirty secret?
It kind of was like many people should be. But I moved here and I met this great teacher, whose name I will not say just in case he's still teaching. But I don't want him to be associated with all discussing. But he teaches elementary.
I hope we have a concern, like we have a listening audience this fucking huge, and we have to be worried about this. That's a great
well,
problem.
I'm just saying, he was bloody awesome, and he had this club. He was obsessed with Star Wars. I'm sure he would be on your side of the field, actually, in this. But
I think he'll recognize himself in this story.
Yeah, he'll know what we're talking about.
he used to sing the song, It's Not Easy Being Green.
If this sounds like it's about you, it's not.
Jim Henson?
It's Not Easy Being Green by Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jim Henson, the guy.
Okay, sure, the movie.
Wait. Do you not know who Jim Henson is?
Probably not, no.
You're
No.
not a geek.
Do you know this silence?
Yes, probably.
We're going to lock the door in a second and see what happens. Jim Henson was the guy who created the Muppets.
Oh.
Jim Henson's the reason we have fucking Yoda and we have all the wonderful Muppets and things. That was all Jim Henson's
If it
work.
weren't for Jim Henson, we wouldn't have Frank Oz doing Yoda.
Matter of fact, I recently started watching. It was just the other day. I found a bunch of Muppet, stuff, Muppet Show stuff on YouTube. I was watching, and I didn't realize just really how fucking brilliant that show was. I mean, on a comedic level, as far as their jokes, the kind of adult humor they were using, the timing. It actually is really impressive.
See, but you forget, but anything I saw in my early youth wasn't in English. It was completely different to what you guys saw.
That's true. There you go. That's
like,
what I'm talking
we had
about. Right on.
different, I hate to say this, but a lot of movies that get translated about to Spanish, especially Mexican Spanish, tend to have more jokes. We like to have dirty humor involved. We like to talk about cheating, and
In other words, there's no subtlety in Spanish.
Well,
it's
a different approach.
Not even a word for subtlety.
It's interesting
you
though.
like a hate mail in Arizona, dude. Este gringo no sabe hablar español. Nosotros vamos a mandarme sus mensajes ahorita mismo al teléfono. I'm just kidding, by the way. Please don't send me messages.
But I've actually, my secondary geekdom outside of this would be with comedy, as far as studying certain comedians and looking, at that stuff. And when you look at comedy, different cultures, there is very few humor or jokes that do transcend, especially between different languages.
Okay,
like
what
that.
I'm saying is, now that I'm missing comedy, we like to have humor, and we're not as ashamed of it as American people are. We joke about anything and everything, no matter your age.
No, we're much more conservative.
And American culture is very pure.
Yeah.
So when I moved to Arizona, I learned that I was barely learning English. It's bloody terrible for me. I mean, I knew basics a bit better. It was terrible. And my absolute freedom I found was playing Star Wars. No matter how bad my English was, people there...
The card game.
Yeah, the card game. Because people there loved the same thing I did. They were terrible talking to other people, even though they were born... Well, they weren't born here, but, they were born speaking English.
But you guys all knew what the cards meant, though. That was you were fucking speaking Star Wars to each other.
Yeah, that's why I love Star
You
Wars.
were speaking bocce. Oh, that is so sweet.
So you see,
This is what we fucking talking about.
So
Fuck the Apocrypha.
well, see, my generation, this is what it is. The internet, The books, everything connects us all to one. No matter where you are in a country, you go to a different country, you see Star Wars. You can talk about Star Wars forever, even if you don't know anything about them. But if you only tie yourself to 3 movies, you close yourself out from a whole generation of people who want to talk about it. People who share your ideas and your beliefs. Do you really want to miss out on all that?
He's turning me, Glenn. He's turning
Do
me.
you want to miss out on all that great ideas?
He's never not listened, though.
But the point I've been making, though, is not that they don't exist and that they should be, you know, like when you think of Star Wars, you should not think that these things have some meaning. I've been saying that if anything, they give you more insight into what you believe, but if you believe what I believe, you know that there are a whole hell of a lot of inconsistencies and things that don't make sense. And so, on that basis, you can deny their
Star Wars does not exist.
No, but what you do
but
you draw a line.
Basically,
that's what it is.
they're still important as far as informing you and telling you something about what might have happened. But I'm still not going to believe that Anakin Skywalker built C-3PO for whatever anybody wants to say. But you have also made the argument that R2-D2 is the real hero of the whole thing.
Yeah, he is the rebel leader.
He's the rebel leader.
He's the R2-D2 is the rebel leader.
I completely
You don't know.
I'm the only one that has to
It's
be.
a language barrier, and you're assuming that he does not have capacity because you do not have the capacity to understand
If
him.
anything, but
I
you
have
can't
been
understand
accused of
his
being
language.
racist when I understated
no,
what English was.
You think that it's Leia the whole time telling R2-D2 what to do. But no, it's like, Leia's like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? And R2-D2's like, look, this is what you need to do.
Let me
Get
handle
the
this.
plans on a flash drive, you put that shit in me, and I'll take care of it. Like, R2-D2 knew what the fuck was going on!
And not to mention that R2 never got wiped as compared to C-3PO, who I feel bad for him because he got never wiped so many bloody times.
Yeah.
And so 3PO, R2's actually walking and going, hey, bring my target, fucking 3PO. Because he literally has a target on his front and his back. A circle that you can shoot. It's like Batman.
Let me really end this conversation right now by saying that the moment you guys make that term and you draw the line, it's where you separate the new Star Wars fan from yourself. Where you say, we are holier than you, and your ideas, well, they're good, you know.
Okay.
Well, that's really cute ideas, but you don't really know what you're talking about.
I'm going to read
What's wrong with those saying just we're different?
Yeah,
But you're not saying that, but for yourself, you put yourself in a hill.
you're right. You know
Looking
what?
down on us.
You're making some good points there. Actually, you're turning around a little bit. I will say this because I accept that they're part of the story, that the story is growing on and stuff like that. But I guess for me, when I call them the Apocrypha, and I use that term, because I'm using an derogatory term in my sense of saying I don't really accept these. I acknowledge they're there, but I don't like them. I don't want them. They're not really part of my Star Wars. They're a part of Star Wars, but they're not part of my Star Wars.
So
I think it's the best way. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I will. That's how I can view it, because I don't like them. I don't like Phantom Menace. I don't like any of them. I think they're fucking horrible movies.
I don't
think
like
they're
his craftsmanship. I would like to state that's one of my issues.
I don't like that Yoda has a speedball issue. I don't like fucking battle droids. I don't like them. Now, so in that sense, they will never have the affection and nostalgia and place in my heart that the original trilogy did. So I will never embrace them that way. However, I, at the same time, from this point, I don't have to like them, but I will certainly acknowledge them. But I guess my definition when I say Apocrypha, and you know what, people can define it different ways. Fucking language changes.
What's it just
Things grow. You know what I mean?
Name.
And it's just, yeah. And it's a name I want people to use and wear on their mugs and T-shirts.
People get into arguments.
Also, ha-ha.
Yeah. But I mean,
What trilogy to rule
I think that's how I'm embracing it.
That's different.
Does that work
But
as a balance?
Isn't it he saying that one trilogy is better than all the rest of them? It's the exact thing that we're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. One trilogy to rule them all.
movie.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying. And what I really feel, I think that's another shirthouseofha.com, is our one trilogy to rule them all, because I think that original trilogy, I think that's the greatest trilogy of the Star Wars saga. I think it's the greatest fucking trilogy compared to any fucking bunch of fucking hobbits and walking in it. You know, I think that movie, but you
It's
know.
saying that like
At
you
least there was more
exist, but
jewelry
this
in
one's
it.
better than all of them as like an art.
But this is
form
how
or
we-
entertainment.
Well,
Or,
no,
Yeah.
Well, look, we forget anymore.
Like visually, they're beautiful movies, and I like them and stuff like that. I guess at a certain level,
Aaron.
but they're just not. Yeah.
Something. I can see how you guys feel with the new 3 movies that are about to be released, like in the future by Disney.
Oh,
I am feeling,
talk about
I am
that.
feeling hatred towards them, and I feel the same way. Like in a couple of years,
Really?
there will be the older me who will be like, well, those are crap. And there's the Apocrypha right here. There's 6 movies and all this canon. After
I
that,
hope they pick.
and I really hope not, but I
Make them
understand
good.
why did you come from that view, because it has influenced my life so much. But by knowing this information, I hope to change that fact. And I hope that if I ever do have kids, and they will love Star Wars, I can do that. They will keep giving money to George Lucas' kids forever.
Maybe that's where we're getting this. This is a good thing we're talking to. The whole, reason of making some of the shit and designs and the things to do is we want people to talk, have a conversation, And I think not argue. I don't think not arguing, because arguing doesn't get you anywhere. I mean, you can have arguments and varying opinions, but I think if you have productive, this has been good conversation. You've made me think about some things I hadn't considered before about my fandom and my stance on things and whatnot. But I think it's important that we talk about those things. It's how we come to those conclusions and how these things evolve, because we really are in this, I think, amazing, just a renaissance is the best way to describe it. With this geek culture, with these ideas, 100 years from now, people may look at the Star Wars films or Star Trek or these stories or comic books in the same context like when our parents had to read stories about Greek gods and goddesses and those kind of things.
And all that stuff.
It's all stories about what it means to be a person and archetypes and and to a degree it's all ripped off from the Bible from one level or another, which I don't accept that to begin with, so it's all kind of a lie. but told so well.
But like a morality play.
It is, and those make the best stories.
Who wrote the Odyssey?
Homer.
Homer.
You know the terrible of the future George Lucas is considered Homer?
Oh.
He would be though, kind of.
He could. I mean, this is how.
I mean, there's no
Have his
question.
eyes out the same, or however
I
he's
think-
blind. I don't know.
There's no
I did not
question
mean
that
to do
it could happen. I
But he
mean,
does owe me
he's a
money
modern
for
myth
movie
teller.
tickets.
He does
That's
that.
terrible when that be though.
Wait, let's go one at a time. Everyone's talking, Mister. What were you
That's
saying?
fine. I'm done.
No, go ahead. Though.
No, it was a good point because he fucking owes us some cash for some movies we saw.
He didn't agree to that.
But that is true though. At a certain point, like if we don't talk about this stuff, analyze it at its early time before people start fucking cementing these ideas, at some point they could consider George that way. One thing when my buddy John was here, we were talking about how people influence us. Like Kevin Smith, George Lucas, Gene Roddenberry. Like these are people who not only influence me or creative people, but the entire world. And the kind of neat thing is at those times when those dudes were like when George Lucas was making Star Wars, he had no idea he was making Star Wars. And we were put in the context of stuff that we people we know today are people who are making things and stuff, and we have people who could be those next generations of those great storytellers who are going to inspire people and moving on, and I think that's the cool thing. I think that's why it's becoming a geek has been so embraced. There's a real positive aspect to it. We want a better future. We want the good guys to win. We want robots to do our bidding and not kill us.
You have luck with that.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up then. Vince.
What's up?
And then you give us your.
Has this made any sense to you? We've gone. I love the conversation. We've kind of talked a lot about stuff.
Everyone came over to
Matter of fact, I want to say one of my favorite points. I fucking think it's adorable. I will. I promise I will. Then I'm going to shut up.
What's wrong with you?
That fucking Star Wars card story. That was the most adorable fucking thing I'd ever heard. Need a blog.
Posting it on the internet.
Yes.
What?
Just to make you playing Star Wars, that's the
Oh.
thing about, that's why I think of a great part of being a geek. I think when I think geek and I summarize that, I think about it means it's the people I get to associate and I get to have
I
conversations
think
with
we
and I
need a
talk to.
follow-up podcast about what it means to be a geek, because I have questions and follow-up questions for Vince about his not being a Star Wars geek and how come he never gets to talk.
I think we should make this like a bi-weekly thing.
We should, because we didn't do no fucking dice.
Because if you have me play D&D the whole night.
I mean, we've been
This is
rolling.
not for 20 randomly, just so that people know.
this.
I rolled a 1.
It's on audio. Vince,
Wasted.
I want to end this with you.
All right, shit, I forgot what we were just talking about.
All right, Vince, we have not let you talk very much of this, and I'm sorry about that. You've been really
I'm
patient.
a noob, so I wouldn't talk very much.
So what do you think about all this? Give me your thoughts, dude.
Lady.
Final thoughts from you. Lady D is a good listener.
Cool. I don't know. It all sounds pretty good.
Oh, come on, give me something juicy.
Do we need to, you know what we need to do? We need to have a pot. Do we need to sit down and watch all the Star Wars shit? No, we need to watch all the Star Wars with you and then do a podcast post.
No, wait, can I ask a question, though? Like, are you just thinking, why is it so important to argue about this? Or, like, what are you thinking?
No, I know.
We came to play D&D.
No, it's good to... No, I'm a lit major, so, I can understand, just arguing about canon and, where to draw the line.
Sure.
To read into materials and stuff. I think it's kind of a dick move to,
Are we heading out? Or?
I don't know.
judge other people.
Let's do that an hour.
Okay.
I think
I'm
it's,
listening.
I do think it's a dick move to just, look at the body of work that you studied, whether it's 3 movies, whether it's not the entire Star Wars canon / Apocrypha. I don't know what the hell I'm going with this. I'm pretty tired.
Okay, I think I was in this point. Just saying, it's like, let's say you're a student of Marxism, and you only curious to study.
Didn't mention Eric's a communist.
I thought we were wrapping this shit up.
No, you study Trotskyism only. You fail to observe Leninism and the original Marxism.
Dude, we
and all the other
started some
stuff.
Wikipedia and Wikipedia on Apocrypha, and you're just launching into Marxism.
I'm just saying, but
So we've gone through much of Western history this afternoon.
Vince, you need to say more. More opinion. Eric's gonna fucking roll over you, man.
Continue with the comparison. I mean, I think it makes sense. I thought a little bit of
No, what I'm saying is, like...
Do you own anything that is a branded Star Wars item?
That's a good question.
No, he doesn't.
I got plenty. You want some?
I think I'm some
That's
movies.
different, though. I'm talking about actual,
Like he's bought himself.
your apocryphal items, and later we'll get to the Apocrypha
The
of
comics
Kevin
count?
Smith as a side note.
Yours are not apocryphal comics.
Oh, okay. Well, that goes back to the point I was saying. You can't just look at your own body of work and then call everything else bullshit. I mean, then what's the point of, discussing this with other people for 2 hours?
You're right.
You can just, go fuck off, go on an internet board, and, find other people that have studied the exact same stuff that you have, and you can go argue with them, semantics of, whatever makes
We wouldn't argue with them. We give a pat on the back.
I like hearing different perspectives and
Well, yeah, then it's just a
proving
big
that
circle
everybody
jerk.
can
So,
be right
I
at the
mean,
same time.
It's just kind of a moot point to look at your own view on canon / Apocrypha, and then call everyone else's opinions bullshit.
Which was your
No, you're right.
everyone.
You're right. And I don't think anybody. I don't know. Is anybody? I don't think we've said anybody's ideas. I mean, your academy idea is bullshit. But I mean, outside of that.
Okay, no. I have many people.
Outside of that.
I really want to hear what people have to say, because I have many people, and they always say the Imperial Academy. We asked 2 random strangers last time we hung out with them, and they agree with
You
the
know
Imperial
what?
Academy.
I got an idea. We're gonna settle this.
Next.
You make a poll?
Here's the debate. Here's the question. Yeah, people can.
Make a
people,
please comment.
people can
comment.
comment, and we will discuss the comments and follow up on this the whole topic next time.
What's
on
the
this.
subject for next time, though?
Well,
The next time is the Academy.
Oh, okay.
because here's the issue, and
And
I'm going to just summarize it, put them out to them on both parts. When Luke talks about in New Hope, when he talks to about joining the Academy when he's living at Uncle Ben and Aunt Beru's, I thought the Academy referred to like the rebellion. He was going to join the rebellion of
The
some type.
Rebellion Academy.
Eric here believes that he's talking about the Academy is the Empire. So Luke was actually consider he's like I don't like the Empire. What are you gonna do? But that's I think that's bullshit. Luke would not consider joining the Empire. It is against canon.
Or Art Academy.
May I have you?
Maybe it was the Art Academy.
I'm just gonna, no.
Hitler wanted to be an artist.
And you compare Luke to Hitler? She's saying your old-time role model hero.
Maybe it could be a
is
local
Hitler.
military.
That's what you just said right now.
No, I didn't say my role model. I'm pointing out the fact that Hitler could have been an artist, and he did other things, and maybe Luke wanted to be an artist.
I'm
Just
just
go to
telling
the
you.
Academy.
It would make no sense for Luke once you're in Academy to learn how to be a fighter pilot or any kind of military officer out in space. Like, let's say you're
Flight Academy.
Rural town, Illinois,
sounds
right?
plausible.
Illinois. And you want to leave there and go travel the world. Are you going to join a random flight academy?
Wait,
Are you going to join the
next time.
This is next time. As you can see, Eric has lots of thoughts on this, so
US?
we'll get into it. Leave comments. Tell us about what your thoughts of the Apocrypha. Tell us what you think about whether Luke joined the academy.
Or the Empire.
And correct the pronunciation.
And correct my pronunciation of it. Fuck. So let us know what you think, and we'll get into it next time. Guys, thank you for this. I really appreciate it. I know we took away from our game time, but this was fun. And I've been saying for a long time I wanted to get you guys on tape because you're some funny motherfuckers.
We have the same conversation.
You may be wrong most of the time, but I think you're funny when you do it.
Wrong most of the time.
I turned you over to our side tonight, so shut up.
All right. Thank you for listening. My name is Aaron.
Sarah?
Glenn.
Melody is left. Vince is
And Vince is in the bathroom
Say that about
vomiting because he just couldn't handle this conversation anymore. The man was done with it.
You owed him more than that.
You laugh.
Thank you to Vince.
Sorry, Vince.
We'll get you a chance to talk more next time.
Not about that, the other thing too.
Thanks for listening to Up Geek In America. Bye.
How's